Hey, everybody, welcome to another Bourbon and Blockchain Happy Hour. Tonight, we are really excited to talk to our guests. Tonight, we are going to be talking with representatives of Hector Network. We're going to be speaking with Instinct and Pierogi, also known as Pierogi, also known as Stress Pierogi, the man, the myth, the legend. So, gentlemen, how are you guys doing?
Fantastic. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, everything all right on our end. How are you?
Great. We're in the depths of building a project based on cryptocurrency. So it's stressful, but it's really fun, and we're really in the trenches of it right now. So we're really excited what we're building, and there's a lot of things to come and show the community here quickly.
Yeah,
Mr.
that's
Maverick, so you last week you had talked to Shire Distillery. How was that?
Oh, it was great. I hope people got to tune in and check it out. Tim is a wealth of knowledge, and we talked briefly, just a little bit on how we plan to kind of meld the bourbon piece into bourbon and blockchain, and we're really excited about it. And talking with him, I mean, it just brings up a lot of ideas, a lot of good discussions, and he actually is all for us connecting to other distilleries and offering up some other choices, some other good choices. And what better person to have a part of the project, right? Somebody that can kind of guide us to making those decisions. So we're excited to have him, and it was a good time with him. I got a little drunk. I'm sorry, anybody that watched till the end.
Nobody
I
even noticed.
I told
no.
I told him before we started. I said I noticed my smile got weirder by the end of the conversation. So it was good though. It was good. I'm glad to have you guys on though. This is my first time ever speaking to either of you, so this was an awesome opportunity, and thanks for spending some time with us tonight.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
in true bourbon and blockchain fashion, I'd like to ask you guys. It's not a requirement, but it's definitely something I'd like to ask you. Did you guys bring a drink, and if so, what did you bring?
Yes, sir. So on my end, I'm more of a mixed drinker myself. So what I brought in is kind of a mix of a liqueur and cognac itself. So I got what is it called? Alabazam. So the
Ooh,
drink is called. So it's mainly cognac. So I took Hennessy, mixed it in with Comtois, which is like an orange liqueur. Put in some lemon in there, just give it a good spin on some ice, and there you go. That's the drink.
yeah, that's way too fancy for me. But
Me too.
I bet you it tastes really good.
Oh
Yep.
man, yeah, a little bit of the sweetness of the orange, but no worries. Yeah.
What about you, Instinct? What do you got tonight?
Yeah, so I poured Kraken in a red solo cup. So
There it is.
that's how my night's going. So it's pretty great. Yeah, I'm drinking Kraken black spiced rum. If you've never had it before, I personally recommend it. I love it. I'm a big rum drinker, not so much a bourbon drinker, so sorry for the bourbon drinkers out there.
Oh no, no, no. We don't discriminate against any adult beverages. Everything is welcome, or no adult beverages is fine as well. As long as everybody's here to have a good time and talk crypto, I think we can get on board to support any of it.
Yep, absolutely.
Hey,
I'm a big fan of Kraken too. At least their brand. They've done an awesome job branding their stuff, and so every time they have some really cool bottles. If you ever have an opportunity, they actually have one that's like a 5 gallon bottle. It's no joke. You can buy a Kraken 5 gallon bottle of rum. Never seen anything like it.
that's actually crazy. I didn't know you could buy that.
Yep, it's huge.
Yeah, and I
That's
just posted in the chat. I got I'm just going with Bardstown Bourbon. It's a fusion series. This specifically, it's crazy what's in this thing. It's 54% bourbon mixed with corn and rye, and then it's got one, two, three. It's got four additional bourbons mixed in with it. It's fused with other bourbons. So if you guys get a chance, like this one's fusion number 7. I think they're up to fusion number 8. So there's 8 different versions, and all of them are different. So it's a pretty unique spin on bourbon because they're mixing different types of bourbon. So if you ever get a chance or you see one, they're pretty cool. So I suggest it's one of my ones that I suggest to people to pick up that are adventurous in bourbon.
Very intriguing. Never heard before of a fusion in terms of bourbon.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I think that a lot of people do it. They just don't. I guess they just don't highlight it as much, right? So a lot of companies mix bourbons and different flavors together, and this one does it specifically to come up with a flavor that they want to showcase, and it's different every time they do it.
Yeah, wow, that's actually really interesting. I was going through these, and not being a bourbon drinker, even reading through these, I was like, wow, these actually sound really interesting, and I would be intrigued to try them. Um, so yeah, I may actually I may actually have to take advantage of that. I'm gonna look more into this.
We'll
See,
send you
there you
some
go.
suggestions. There's a
Yeah,
lot of good
exactly.
stuff.
Please,
If we
please
could
do.
get you guys on the bourbon train, yeah, that'd be great. Well, now that we've talked a little bit about bourbon, what we plan on drinking tonight, I'd like to ask some questions and talk a little bit more about Hector Network. Now, when I first spoke to Hector and had my first couple conversations, Hector was a little bit different. It came out as a project more like a DeFi project specifically, and then it's developed over time into something quite larger. I'd like to talk about that and kind of see kind of where you came from and where you guys are at now, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot to kind of cover in that little bit of a section there. But I think to kind of hit on it, I think the way that our project started out, yeah, very much so. We were very oriented towards DeFi in the beginning, in the sense that we, had initiated the whole 4-4 bonding craze that everybody was getting into, and in rolling with that, we realized that these high APY protocols that were out there weren't working, and that there was this massive problem. And then we started seeing this massive downfall, as everybody's aware of, that went through the, that December, January, February craze of crypto. And coming out of that, we realized that, with as successful as we were in initially starting the project and what we had come out with, that there's all this opportunity for us to become something much much larger. And it wasn't just a me kind of thing thinking this, and to kind of filter the thought here as well, and to kind of introduce myself a little bit more to some of the other people that may not know me. I didn't actually join the project until after Hector was already launched, so by the time I had become part of the team, I wasn't even brought onto the team until like around mm, March, give or take, maybe like January area. I was like doing some volunteering type stuff for them, and then I didn't really start coming on to the project until around March. Um, but anyway, during that time, what we realized is this is going to be something much much larger and much much more successful than what was initially thought. And in knowing that, we decided, let's take advantage of this. Let's really flush out this ecosystem and what this envision of our plan looks like. And not so much myself personally, but the core team members themselves. They took the time to really sit down and identify crucial pieces of the industry that are lacking, and parts where there's issues, and those are identified as the sub projects and things that we want to innovate and create on here at Hector Network. So we're currently working on a number of different sub projects, um, and we can dive into each of those sub projects in and of itself for a whole series of conversations. So it's really kind of hard to sum it all up into one category. But the easiest way to say it is that Hector has evolved from being just a DeFi application that you could interact with for staking, to becoming a entirely focused ecosystem on bringing quality DeFi services, generating content that people actually want to participate in, and creating, beneficial revenue generating Web3 services for everybody. And really being able to provide that quality to everybody as well. So we're creating a number of different things. We have the Oikos. That's going to be our metaverse project that we're currently working on. A lot of the details for that are released and within the white papers and some of the other conversations that we've had that are kind of scattered throughout different recordings. However, if you are looking for much more like in-depth information on either Oikos or our library project, which is going to be our education platform that we've spoken about before, this is something that's currently still being worked on and coming out as well. We've got our DEX platform, we're bridging. So it's really a whole host of different services. But the idea is we're going to start bringing all of this together so that people don't have to worry about going and finding something and worrying if this protocol is safe or that protocol is safe. We want everybody to be able to come to our application, utilize and have these great quality services that are decentralized that everybody has access to. It shouldn't discriminate to anybody. So we're really about open access to everybody and bringing quality services that people want to see. So if there are things that, community members want to see out of Hector, talk to us, let us know. We're very active in our communities and in our chats, like this, for example. We really appreciate community engagement, and we would love for more of it. So that's kind of just like an overall quick summary. I didn't hit on Atlantica because I wanted to let Pierogi kind of highlight his own part there because I talked for like 20 minutes. Yeah, Pierogi's here too, guys. So
No,
I'll
you
let
good.
you-
You good, Instinct. It's just that's
All
like the halves that we're working in Hector Network. Instinct being on the tokenomics, on the fungible token side, DeFi side of Hector Network, and other dualities with the non-fungible side of crypto. So in terms of the whole ecosystem that Hector Network is building or evolved from a rebase token back in like the late, I guess, 2021, in the current stance of being a utility ecosystem, initially on Phantom, but in the prospects of aiming towards cross-chain servicing, because it is within understanding of the future that the amount of like services and users are out there on the crypto, they have it all spread out on the type of chains and networks that they're most suitable with, whether it's the type of community they'd like to belong to, or perhaps safety and reliability is in their full-on interest. Our connection of both the wide range of services that Hector Network has, in addition to it being cross-chaining, not just to be mono-chained to one exact network. Although, yes, we started and we do love what Hector has done for us, how they helped us mature into the project that we are today, and still helping us in that regard. Expanding out, I think it's the best for users throughout the whole entire crypto ecosystem, or the whole crypto system. Specifically with non-fungibles, yes, the projects in most relation to it would be 3 of them. Mainly what is being focused on is the Atlantica NFT marketplace. Then it is our own company's NFT collection called the Mythos. So the representation of 13 Greek gods and mythology creatures, aiming for the idea of being a utility-based NFT collection, which is to be coming pretty soon. The idea is more than just holding it for monetary value, for asset value, and more of finding ways to not only give back to the users of whether it's through the phantom lottery that's built for it, or how the buyback and burn system that'll be attached alongside with it. But any kind of utility send of it, pretty much I'm on the research end of that and open to all discussions and all kinds of notations, suggestions about in that regard. So really trying to build something out of that own collection. It's almost treated like its own sub project. And lastly, the Launchpad. So this will be something that for sure set up to focus mainly on onboarding new creators into getting their whole entrance into the Atlantica marketplace, whether it's going to be on the Phantom space or any network that we cross-chain ourselves into. Overall, on the NFT side of things, it is the main focus for the creators, because they are the ones who took the initial step of creating, their own project, their own art, their own vision of what NFTs can be utilized, as crypto has been evolving almost at the pace of everything's always new. Things are being updated about every day, every week. So we want to set up services, set up connections in those sense, so that from the day one, the ground up, they are able to be supported and find, meaningful streams of connection so that they can sustain themselves and not be pressured to onboarding like all the responsibilities of almost like starting up your own startup. We want to be there to assist them as much as we can.
Yeah, that's you guys have a lot to offer. I think you guys are really trying to define your own area in the space and provide a lot of user connect ability and functionality. And I think there's a few things there that we're both trying to accomplish together, just in the overall crypto space. And one of the things that you discussed was education. I know that that's something important to Hector, and it's also important to us. We actually just recently announced a partnership that we have with a crypto education courses group with Lefty Chris and Critical Complex David, two very well respected individuals in the crypto space. And they're actually going to be bringing, specialized education about our project to the community and continue to bring education to our community long term because of how important we like the highest regard that we have for education to make sure that people are well informed and that they can make good decision in the crypto space, and that they don't make mistakes. So I think it's always great, and experience is really important. It's a fundamental thing to learn, but if you can learn from my mistakes and not make major mistakes on your own, I think that's really important. And I think you guys also have that same type of mentality with your project, bringing education to your community.
Like in that
Yeah.
sense, yeah. If you want to go ahead and state the
No,
education
I was
side of
gonna
Hector.
say, yeah, absolutely. I definitely feel that is very much a huge part of, the crypto and Web3 industry as a whole, not just Hector alone. Education in this industry right now is probably the most crucial thing. Even on a day-to-day basis, right? The majority of us I'm going to assume here, but the majority of everybody here that's taking the time to listen tonight probably has a fairly in-depth understanding of crypto. If you're listening to about our project, we're on Phantom and Binance. It's not typical that you're going to start on Phantom necessarily. So, in order to even make it to our network, you're already talking about, cross chaining and to kind of hint on cross chaining, since I already worked my way there. Bang bang, I did see your question. I'll get to it eventually. But yeah, as far as with the cross chaining and education and things like that, as far as what's crucial and important, cross chain in particular with education is one of the most crucial things, because that's where the
Hmm.
majority of hacks happen, right? And educating not only users about hacks, but protocols, how these services work, how to be safe in just your everyday environment of your computer usage in order to make sure that you don't compromise yourself. Because I think that if we take a broader look at what cryptocurrency is becoming, I think it's pretty safe to assume that cryptocurrency isn't going away and the adoption is only growing. And as we continue to see this adoption and this growth, people are going to be looking for more options and how to utilize these things, and how to be safe is probably the most crucial part of that, right? Because people are getting taken advantage of every day, whether it's from liquidity coins being completely pulled, malicious contracts, to people giving out their seed phrases in Discord chats because they just don't know any better. Education is the most crucial thing that is a part of this industry, I believe. And until we can get that part right, everything else is just a pipe dream. Because if we can't make anything that's secure, it doesn't matter how much BTC is worth if somebody's just going to go and rug it from you. So, yeah, absolutely. I definitely feel that education, as far as from our side of things, is one of our heavy focuses. And that's why, like, the creation of library, for example, and what we plan to do with library. And again, I can't go into too many details because it hasn't really been totally talked about yet, and I don't really know what core team wants me to say. So core team, if I say something incorrect, please don't fire me tomorrow. But basically with library, we're looking to not only educate our users with our own content, but to allow for other projects to educate not only our user base, but crypto and DeFi as a whole. We want to help educate everybody. So we want to try to streamline a way for everybody to just be able to have this education network that's uniform for everybody, that's not exclusive in any way. You should just be able to interact with it and utilize it, because that education factor is what's going to help it grow. So that's really a key part for us. Library is definitely one of the things that we're focused on.
Yeah, you said something earlier about focusing on like the cross chaining and the bridging and the education surrounding that. I think we've all experienced trouble at one point or another if you spent any time in crypto with that specific thing. And when I think of like the most successful businesses in the world, what did they do? They made access to or usability very simple and easy for the end user, right? Like an iPhone. Why was it so popular or successful? Because it's very easy to use. It's intuitive. You don't have to know very much to be able to navigate your way. Why did Amazon become such a popular platform, right? And one of the largest businesses in the world? Well, it's because they made it very simple for the end user to purchase and obtain anything they want. And so I think the first the first project network organization that puts together an easy to use, simple bridge that also protects the end user and makes it very simple for all individuals in order to perform that transaction is going to be hugely popular. I mean, just astronomically popular. So it excites me to hear. I know there's a lot more intricacies to it. It's not as easy said as it is done, right? Or it does. It's easier said than done. Sorry, I'm drinking with you guys.
It's all good.
Yeah.
Mixing my words, but yeah, I think that space and the people that are really focusing their time and attention on it are huge. But hey, there was one other thing that I wanted to bring up, and Pierogi, this is more for you probably because you mentioned the Mythos NFTs, right?
Right.
Here at Bourbon and Blockchain Services, what we're doing is we're launching a NFT that is intrinsically valued, right? Because we're going to be providing a utility specific for each NFT. So it's not a degen NFT. It's nothing that you would expect to buy and then it go to zero within a day, because there's intrinsic value backing it, and you're earning, rewards based on the function and utility that backs it. So I'd like to know personally more about your NFT. You mentioned utility. And I'm not very familiar with the utility behind it, and I would imagine some of the users maybe might not. So, can you kind of highlight for us what that looks like and what you guys have created and what your plans are as far as utility goes?
For sure. I'd say where the whole utility end started is, let's say, a few months back, to where mainly it was inspired by, well, I guess the whole initial idea about the NFT collection was based on like our Greek theme of I guess the branding of our project. So the Greek mythologies, Greek gods, Greek I guess monsters that be told in the lores. We use that as in the front face of the art itself, because with the help of our amazing art team, able to bring their own style, their own quality into it in order to, I guess, bring in first that continuation of how the branding is of Hector Network. But the coding itself of the utility mainly currently is broken down to two kinds of utilities, with one side assistance of further growth of Hector Network. So I could start with the initial growth, or the supportive growth of Hector Network. One side of the utility is that during the minting and during the secondary sales of the Mythos collection, there will be a percentage of the fees that will be captured. So the mint fee and the marketplace service fee that comes with it, or that, I guess, it's how it's being collected during the trades, is that they will be portioned out into both funding of the ICOs of our metaverse, as well as continuation of some funding that will go into the continuous upgrading and updating of the Atlantica marketplace. Specifically for the user utility, there'd be two kinds. First one is being in the assistance of of utilizing the funds for buyback and burning of the Hector token. So in that sense, any portion of that funds that get collected, they will be used to purchase the Hector token out from the market at market price, and then take it out of circulation. So in this case, keeping the demand the same with reduced supply, fundamentals, appreciation of giving back to the token, especially is similar to like a stock buyback of giving back in that sense to those that are holding long and strong and have a high belief into the Hector Network's vision. The second portion of the user give back is through the monthly phantom lottery. So in this case, a portion of the funds that are collected through royalties and through the secondary market, they will be collected into a pool of 5 to 6 different tokens, in which one of them will be voted on per month to what the users are most interested about. And what it will be is that one of the users who has possession of a a Mythos NFT, they will be randomly drawn, and they'll be utilizing for sure proofs to know that the whole pickings was randomized on using the blockchain and using the registry of who owns the NFT. And in that sense, they receive the earnings of 5 different tokens, including one that has been voted on by the community. So it's almost a way of, yes, a portion of random holding in that sense of randomness, but in the other sense, because of the split amount of the reward, we hope to instill inspiration and curiosity of what these token projects are about, what they are building towards, what sector of the blockchain or on crypto are they coming from, what they're building towards, and overall pretty much introduce like the continuation of the idea of diversity and also exploration of what overall crypto is like, having in store.
Yeah, that's a really good, thorough explanation, and I think there's a lot of similarities in what we're trying to do, which is great because your goals and our goals align very well in very many different aspects. And like for us, what we observed in the market was that people that are not brand new to crypto, but people that have been here, maybe for a year or so, maybe a little bit less, they're in a position where they want to interact with crypto, but they also want to support blockchain technology. And when they start to go down that rabbit hole, they'll start to see that there's ways to stake or delegate or validate and earn rewards long term. And as they continue down that path, they start to realize that there's a lot of barriers there, such as it's expensive. For example, if you wanted to participate in validation of Ethereum, it can cost 32 ETH, which is not cheap. Ethereum's over $1,300 right now and rising. So that's not a very small amount of money to participate in. But even more so, as you continue to do your research, you'll realize that you have specific technical knowledge to get into that type of environment. It also has coding that might be needed, and also hardware, dedicated hardware, whether that's a virtual private server or actual physical hardware, in order to operate those networks and become a validator. And what we decided was that it was smart to find a mechanism to get people involved in that type of environment, and taking away a lot of those issues that would stop somebody from participating in that type of environment. So what we decided to do was, as a protocol, as a project, operate in those proof of stake networks, participate in validation, delegation, and staking, and make it easy for the end user to participate in that and have exposure to several different blockchains or a large basket of assets that are on blockchain technology, while also supporting blockchain technology. So it's kind of twofold there. And we found that this was an easy method to get people involved and to provide them exposure to that type of market environment. So um, I think that there's a lot of similarities in the type of utility that we have, and I think that that's really strong. But it's also ease of use, right? And there's also some rewards based off of it as well overall. And I think that that's what people are looking for, especially in the NFT market, is utility, right? Uh, NFTs that actually do something or provide something, some type of service. Because originally the idea of NFTs was really to tokenize different types of assets, such as like your home insurance, your deed to your house, maybe even your marriage certificate. I mean, who knows where the heck that thing is? So this would be a way to tokenize it so that maybe you don't lose it, right? That was kind of the original ideas of non-fungible tokens, and one of those things also was artwork. And artwork just seemed to be one of the easier things that translated to crypto, and it just kind of took off and took over. And I think there's so much more that can be done with NFTs, and that's part of the reason why we're doing our project as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just going to interject a little bit. I know, Pro, you probably have a lot to say about NFTs, but even though I don't focus so much on the NFT side of things for Hector Network, I very much am as well interested in NFT technology and where that's going. And one of the more recent things that I actually just shared with Pierogi was there was a developer conference for Ethereum down in Bogota recently, and there's some really really interesting um, discussions on there. They're very very high level for people that are developer oriented or understand tech talk like that. If you're interested in them, but one of the topics that came up was actually something brand new that I had never heard of, and it was called DeSci, and it was this idea of like decentralized science, and I thought that was really interesting because that was something I hadn't heard of or hadn't even thought of. But um, in regards to the NFT in particular, what they were looking to do and utilize was called like an IP NFT. So they were looking
Mm.
into licensing of specific like scientific research and how to like manufacture specific like medications, things like that, and utilize the NFT as a form of like verified transfer of the patent or whatever, or the IP, so to speak. So essentially, it was this new innovation around NFT that I hadn't realized was even out there, and it was really because it's only cropped up in the past year. So I think what's really interesting is in regards to utility specifically, we're only just scratching the surface for what NFT has to offer. Like, imagine when NFT is around for as long as what Bitcoin's been around for, right? Like
Hmm.
NFT 10 years from now is going to look totally different. And we're seeing innovations on levels that I wouldn't have expected to see as quickly as we have. So the industry is moving faster than I imagined. And again, I'm relatively new to it. So the fact that it's moving even quicker than what I imagined it to be moving is just astronomical to me. So it's pretty amazing to see the NFT technology evolve over time.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. I was listening actually to a podcast, and they kind of featured Kevin O'Leary. I think everybody knows who Mr. Wonderful is and what he's doing, actively doing to try and promote the crypto space and establish like, quality regulation around stable coins, and try and speak some truth to the regulators so that they come up with something that's actually useful, because we all know it's coming. But he brought up some really good points, and he said that right now he has been visiting many different colleges, institutions across the nation, specifically giving speeches on it and speaking to the brilliant minds that are in the tech industry. He said, it dawned on me. He said, just a few years ago, I was giving a speech at, I don't remember what school, and he said, it dawned on me that there was over 30%. Like, these kids are some of the brightest in the world, okay, and they could work anywhere for any tech company they want. And he said about 30% of all of those people, and some of the smartest individuals, they don't even really care about making the big money that comes with working with these gigantic institutions. They were more excited about working in blockchain. And he made a comment. He said, you can't pour that much intellectual value into something and not receive something great out of it. And so I think what you just said is a byproduct of, as time goes on, some of the most brilliant minds that are up and coming, right? People that are learning, that are intrigued by what blockchain can can provide for the future, some of the most brilliant minds are going to be working in this space from here on out. And when you pour that much intellectual capital into something, you're bound for breakthroughs. So I think you're right. I think we're on to some big ideas here in the near future that we probably can't even wrap our minds around.
And
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Maverick. That's pretty powerful stuff right there. And I think what that also does is it helps develop the space as we go and creates new trends, right? And the like right now, you know, we've seen all these different trends. And me personally, I think with all of that education and knowledge and experience that's coming into the space and that's already here and that's all coming together, we're also learning as a space, right? It's almost like the space as itself is an infant that's growing up, and we're kind of experiencing that with you know, the technology. And we all believe in this technology. That's why we're here. We're in the depths of a bear market still. We're all still here. We're still talking. We're still innovating. We're creating. And what I think that that also brings is, you know, the next wave of what's going to happen. And personally, and I'd like to hear your guys' opinion on this. Personally, I think the next wave or the next trend that we're going to see is people that are going to start to look towards sustainable models, sustainable returns, and being able to identify how things operate in crypto. And I think the days of "trust me, we got it," or "don't worry, you know, we'll show you later like how this operates and why this works or where that return comes from, right? Or why that APY is 20% all the time." You know, not knocking on any huge crypto projects that may or may not have crashed. Um, I'm just saying that the days of that are, I think, over. And there might be some that still pop up here and there, but I think overall the crypto community as a whole has learned their lessons, and I hope that they start to have higher standards going forward. And I think that that might be the next trend is the real yields, the actual paperwork that shows where it's coming from, and holding these projects to a higher standard.
yeah, I think that you bring up a really interesting thing about, you know, the next wave, quote unquote. And I've actually thought about this a lot, and it sounds kind of weird to think about, but I actually lay awake at night, like thinking about these things. And it's because I have a real passion for this space and I enjoy being in the Web3 space. But one of the things that I see as well currently, just from a partnership side of things, speaking of next wave, is the amount of young people in this space. So what you see from, you know, a lot of like now mind you, typically I would expect, you know, multiple developers and like all these other like educated business people to be, you know, a lot older. But what I'm finding is you're running into a lot of younger people that already have the experience because they've been working, you know, in these online decentralized, you know, ways for such a long time already. So they've built up these reputations and these qualifications already coming into this. So there's a lot of not only just younger folks coming into this that are educated, but you have all these older folks as well that have the knowledge from like previous markets. So we're really getting this kind of unique mix of old and new.
A
And
mind
there's
meld.
yeah, exactly. And there's really no way to predict these things, right?
Mhm.
So, I mean, sure, you may have an idea of what way or certain, you know, a certain article came out that, you know, says one thing and it's big news. You can make moves off that, but realistically, I think that there's one thing to take away from it, and it's that the innovation's happening and it's going to continue to happen. It hasn't slowed down. It's only picked up, bear market or not, ban or not, you know. It, everything that's happened, it just continues to grow and grow and grow. Nothing's slowing the industry down. And the more that we see the adoption and the quicker we see the adoption, the better off society will be, in my opinion.
Yep,
I'd
I
Yeah.
say, oh,
go
No,
I
ahead.
go
was gonna
ahead. I want to
say,
hear your
I
opinion,
think, I
Pierogi.
think, I think quickly one, I think a word that can encompass the next phase, and I think by that word it'll be maturity. So, in this case, yeah, from the lessons of what was learned in the past 2 to 3 years of crypto, and especially the demand now for not only just I guess safety and education to be made a big presence in terms of how users are able to handle their I guess their investments, their positions, and their knowledge about the whole, what could be possible in cryptocurrencies. I think it's also will become the next big step in setting up the right channels for like like in real life companies and institutions to get their interest on it, because that's what they're mainly waiting for before going into any emerging markets, is the stability, the trustness, as well as that, hey, this technology can be utilized for better than what the services are available. So almost the comparison between like Web 3 and Web 2. Now, although still Web 3 is being worked on and what that exactly means and how that can be, let's just say, detached or just mainly utilize some of Web 2, but not wholly everything about Web 2. I think in this sense, it's, have to a bit grow up a bit in terms of how these services are being utilized, who they're being serviced to, how they come about, and what the value they actually bring to the end users. Yeah, no more. I'd say there's still going to be a little bit, some more of those who are like to take on the high risks to have those products available and services out there. But I think on the long run, better for everyone, better for those who are really serious with it, and even those that want to use crypto for simple everyday usages. I think in this sense, it will come to the vision and toward this environment of everyone treating it seriously, treating it with, full on sincerity, and pretty much just unlock more potentials to what you can do with your money, with your future, and I guess with your life on that sense.
Yeah, I'm of the mindset, Draco, that it's going to take regulation, obviously, in order to get some major players into blockchain in general. I think a lot are already in it, just maybe not directly, right? Like not connecting a wallet and purchasing tokens. They're buying infrastructure. They're purchasing companies that are building on the blockchain or maybe trading on the public exchanges. But I think the world's going to change when regulation hits. It's kind of a double-edged sword, right? I hate to see it happen because if you've been in this for a long time in crypto, it's something that we've kind of prided ourselves on as a culture almost, being independent. Uh, I mean, these are individuals just like you or I that had a vision and were able to create something with their own two hands in a lot of cases. And there's a lot of pride in that and being able to do it without, limitations. But with that also prevents large capital and large institutions from then dabbling in there because there's no security in it, right? So it's kind of a double-edged sword, but regulation's going to hit. I think it's going to unlock a ton of potential. It also is going to kill a bunch of potential in certain ways. But I'm tired of seeing people lose money, right? I'm tired of seeing
Right.
Ponzi's. I'm tired of seeing these unrealistic gain type projects pop up and promise the world only to see all these people lose a ton of money. And if regulation is what it takes to get that to that, then I'm all for it because I've seen so many people hurt by the rugs where there's nothing to back it, right? The money's just gone, and you know it just mistakes and all. I mean, the list goes on of all the possibilities on why people lost money. So yeah, I guess that's what I'm most excited about is to see how things evolve once big business gets introduced to this, and we see the capital really pour in, because I think we see the writing on the wall. It may not happen like we envision, but I think for a lot of the top tier cryptos, we could see an evolution that maybe we never thought possible.
Yeah, I agree. I just hope as regulation comes in, it comes in soft and easy. It doesn't come in with a huge, hammer, because I think that could really stifle the innovation in the space.
Yep.
And I don't think any of us know what's going to happen, but I really hope they're smart enough and have enough insight to say, we don't want to destroy this. We just want to protect it a little bit. We want to make it a little easier to operate on and more secure, rather than let's just smash it out of the park, because it's not going to work. It's just gonna make it more resilient.
That's right.
Well,
But I think we got the right minds there, lobbying and educating. Goes back to education, right? Educating those boomers like Myron down there that says he's only 6 years old. in the chat right now. But educating those boomers to where they don't make stupid decisions and really stifle growth and innovation.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah.
Go
I
ahead,
think
Instinct.
I think that you really summed it up on a lot of points. I think there's a lot of there's just a lot of variation that can come with regulation. And I think that that's the scary part, right? Is that in and of itself, regulation can almost kind of cause the things that it's trying to prevent. You know what I mean? Like the SEC one day could just say, yeah, no, this isn't allowed, and then just take it off the market, and people could just be out, and that could just be gone. That's a total possibility. So that's a little bit scary, and I think until they nail down, what is allowed, what isn't allowed, what is okay, what's not okay, that's going to keep some people away, and big business is going to be a part of that. I think that it's very clear to just about everybody, though, that no matter what, crypto's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. It's going to be regulated. There's no if, ands, or buts of whether or not you want it to be regulated. The powers that be, these governments that exist, they're going to find a way to regulate it either way, whether that's through internet access or whatever. There's going to be some form of limitation, and I don't think it'll get to that extreme. But the point being that there's always going to be some form of regulation, right? But it's no different than the regulation that we're already agreeing to when we commit to using a chain based off of the consensus mechanism. The regulation is purely there not for somebody to benefit, but to just provide guidance so that we know what's okay. And I think that the understanding of that, as myself, as you, as Pierogi, as everybody, as individuals, as what I'm getting at is if you're able to understand that we get to interpret what this regulation is, you have a voice in how to comment and what gets accepted and what's allowed. Like make it heard. You know what I mean? If you're in a country where they're pushing for regulation that's illegal, or in your eyes what should be illegal because it's biased towards one side, make it known, educate people. The majority of people, they may be aware that crypto exists, but they don't understand the complexities of regulating it and what it means to regulate it, or even some of the in-depth functionality of specific tokens moving across from one DApp to another, or one asset bridge to another asset bridge. There's going to be all these issues and all these problems that come up, and without regulation it's just going to be an absolute mess and a nightmare to try to keep in check. If you have one asset that can trade one way on one chain, but you can trade it another way on another chain, there's going to be arbitrage opportunities between those as well
Yep.
too, which is going to provide instability. So no matter what, there's going to be a uniform across the industry, or what's perceived as a uniform across the industry. How deep that regulation goes really comes back to us as the end user. If you don't make your voice heard and everybody just goes out and regulates the way that they want, that's how it's going to be. And obviously not every person or every country has the control to be able to do something like that. I realize there's countries that are, under a regime that doesn't allow them to, have that specific voice, but the continuation of that pursuit, or that idealistic goal, is what the crypto industry as a whole needs to pursue. Because really, we're not opposed to regulation. And in my mind, nobody's opposed to following the rules as long as the rules are fair and even for everybody, right? Because if the rules are, yeah, don't scam people, nobody has a problem with that, right? Except for the scammers. So I think there's two sides to regulation. Regulation can be a good thing, like you said, but it can also kill a lot of projects. And yeah, it'll be kind of a scary thing to see how that happens. But I don't think that we don't play a part in that, and I think that there's very much room to play a part in that. And I think that the SEC's case against Ripple, and the recent events with Ripple in particular for anybody that's not up to date. However, they now have access to documents and things that they weren't able to access before, in this case, that the SEC didn't want them to have access to, specifically because it goes against their case. And that's the political game of it all, because it goes beyond that. And that's why we need to continue that push for proper regulation and proper rules, because that's what the space needs. The space doesn't need, regulation that's going to defund and defraud investors like it's been doing in the current marketplace. And I think it's easy to say that about what's going on right now when you take a look at the issues that are currently, in the capital markets. And I think that's why crypto's gaining the attention it's gaining. And I think that the majority of people that are listening as well will take that away. And that could be my own opinion, but that's that's how I feel about it. So
no, I respect how you feel, and I know many people that feel the same way. It's like they know they need it, but they're scared of it.
Right.
But I do have confidence that there are a lot of really smart people that have a lot of money invested, and you know what money means, right? It means they're pushing for a sensible regulation. So I have confidence. Until that regulation hits, though, it's so important for organizations, projects, companies like ours and Hector's network, right, to support each other. And we've kind of been on this mission, this exploratory mission, as Bourbon-n-Blockchain has continued to evolve, where we're trying to align ourselves with organizations that are doing the right thing. And I commend Hector. It used to be Hector Dow, right? Correct. And it transitioning away from the old Ponzi style project into a real sustainable. But we have a lot of respect for those types of organizations, and we want to lift those organizations up. And we hope in return those organizations lift us up too, and recognize that we're trying to do the right thing and provide a sensible, investment vehicle for people to participate in, without a lot of the complexities that come with all these DeFi degenerate style projects that we've all been a part of in the past. So I'm glad to foster that. I'm excited to foster that relationship with you guys, and I'm just thankful you guys chose to come on tonight.
Likewise.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that we can highlight here, and one of the things that we can talk about, is we have been talking about different ways that we can support each other, going forward as projects. And I'd like to talk about that briefly, about how we plan to support Hector Network. So as we've been developing our project, we are very keen on the different type of cryptocurrencies and blockchains and proof of stake networks that we plan on supporting. And one of the ones that we've identified that we want to participate with is Phantom. And we know that that's where you guys started. You guys started on Phantom. And one of the things that makes it unique about our relationship and our friendship that we've cultivated over time is that you guys actually have a Phantom validator node. And there are not very many Phantom validator nodes. I think there's only somewhere in the range of 69 total validator nodes. And it's a closed knit section. Like, it's not easy to just join that network and open up a validator node like on a whim, right? So it would make sense for us to support Hector Network as well as support Phantom by operating in your network with your validator. So one of the things that we've been exploring and talking about is us delegating directly to your validator on the Phantom network. And I think that that's a great way for us to support each other as communities and projects. It kind of brings us together towards a common goal.
Essentially, yeah. An investment with the network itself is pretty much an investment of all the pretty much the projects that are built upon it, and the whole community that has supported, I guess, the network itself from the ground up. It's quite amazing that each of the networks, almost like each of the NFT projects themselves, have their own community, their own like niche that like to carve out in the whole crypto space. And this specifically, Phantom Network being what I remember or it hopefully still is in the focus of being in the DeFi area. So DeFi protocol specific, helping out specifically those in the liquidity side of things, on the DeFi side, how money is being managed and what else can be out there for the crypto users.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I think it could have been, the decision to delegate into Phantom. We had looked at different validators and different groups, but we don't know those guys. We don't have any relationship with these other validators in these communities that have a validator. So it just made sense to continue that relationships and even strengthen the relationships that we have with projects like Hector Network. It just, to me, it made a lot of sense. And it's really, it benefits both parties to kind of forge that validator and and delegate to it to make it larger.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, the goal and the envisionment between the both of us here would be to see the network grow and prosper. And I think that that's very, very easily accomplished when you're working as a partnership to collaborate and prosper that future growth. As we continue to not only grow our validator to help the network, but as we continue to grow the network as a whole and expose not only our ecosystem but the other ecosystems that are on Phantom and the Phantom ecosystem itself, to all of these new users, it's really, really, really important to have strong validators, and we look forward to being able to maintain the one that we have now along with you guys to continue that prosperous relationship.
Yeah, I think this is it's one of them things that just kind of makes sense. It didn't take us very long to kind of come up with this system and find ways for us to work together going forward. And I look forward to continuing that relationship between our communities, because I see our communities having so many things in common. And I think that it's powerful to bring these communities together and share those aligned ideas in order to move towards a common goal. And I think the common goal here that we've been discussing all night is that we're all trying to create something that's reliable, secure, and sustainable for everybody that's involved, no matter whether you're in Hector Network or if you're in Bourbon-n-Blockchain. This is what we're all trying to create. And not all projects are out there trying to create this, but the ones that are out there trying to create this, as I, actually coined the term a long time ago with Prometheus, was people that are on the right side of crypto. And we're going to continue to go down that path and forge alliances and partnerships with projects that are on the right side of crypto. And that's what we'll continue to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know that I could have said it better myself. I think that that's really kind of the key to the success that is going to be, Web3 and crypto, right? Because decentralization is such a huge factor that everybody believes in. Nobody wants one party that controls everything, and they want it to be fair across the board. And I think a way to have that is by having decentralization. And I think that you really kind of achieve that, um, in that sense with validators specifically when you have them spread out throughout all these different parties and the consensus amongst the blockchain itself. It's really kind of a unique system that you can't really kind of put into words. It's something new that's going to continue to evolve, and as it evolves, it's really exciting to foster those relationships with the special people that want to see that grow as well. So it's really exciting to be in this space with like-minded people that are just as passionate about it, and just as fortunate to be in the right place at the right time, because I think that that's really what it's all about too. There's a
Hmm.
lot of people that they haven't even heard of crypto yet. They have no idea what it is, and they're going to find out, and they're going to find out after Bitcoin's already, 5, 10x where it's at now. So, everybody that's here now, you're in early, and just keep doing your thing, keep on building, keep on keeping on.
That's right. That's good advice. Follow the people that are doing things the right way. They won't lead you astray. People making false promises or promising things that sound too good to be true. They are too good to be true. That's always true. So, guys, we're coming up on the hour's end. I'm happy to say that I'm not smiling awkwardly tonight, so I didn't take it too far. All right, I limited myself to one glass tonight, but I really appreciate you two both coming on with us. We really do look forward to fostering the relationship with you guys and the Hector Network in general. We'd love to introduce more people to our project, and we'd love to offer the opportunity to our members to get involved within Hector as well. So whatever we can do to foster that, we're all for. And Draco, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
No, I think I look forward to having a conversation with you guys in the future when we get closer to mint. We plan on minting late November, and when we do, we plan on bringing you guys back and having another conversation with you. And we'll definitely have some secure mint spots for people in the Hector network that want to participate, and we'll be giving those away in our next conversation.
Cheers to that.
Absolutely, guys.
Yeah, definitely cheers to that.
Well,
All right,
guys, enjoy your night. Thanks for coming on, and we appreciate the conversation. And to everybody listening, follow the YouTube, follow the Twitter, all of that. Like and subscribe, and we thank you very much for your time. Have a good night. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Cheers, guys.
See you guys.
See you.